So her name was Rebecca Sedgwick. She was a 12-year-old girl who lived in Florida, and she was only in 7th grade when she took her own life, falling off an abandoned silo last September. Now, what could have made this innocent girl jump to her death? Well, it turns out that a 14-year-old girl, as well as Rebecca's former best friend, had texted and messaged vile things to Rebecca on Facebook for 3 months prior to her suicide. Now, in these messages, they bullied Rebecca, saying that no one liked her, that they wanted to fight with her. They even told Rebecca that she should go kill herself by drinking bleach. Now, as Florida investigators try to find the motive behind these two girls' actions, they discovered that the 14-year-old girl was upset that Rebecca had once dated her boyfriend, and so turned all of Rebecca's friends against her. So Rebecca's death was caused by the irrational emotion of jealousy. She did nothing wrong, nor did she fight back. She did not deserve to die. 3.2 million kids fall victim to bullying each year, according to DoSomething.org. And this map represents the number of bullied victims in the United States. And as you can see, the red places are the ones with the most bullied victims. And oddly enough, places like California and Texas are one of the most diverse states in the United States. But although the kids represented on this map come from all over America, they share one common thing. That's the pain and struggle that comes from being bullied. Sure, some people experience bullying that's less severe than Rebecca's, but bullying is bullying, and no matter how severe it is, the impact is still the same. Self-denial, low self-esteem, worthlessness. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, bullying peaks around the ages of 11 and 12. Why, you may wonder? Well, it's simple. Because growing up is tough. It's a time where you try to find yourself, who you are, where you belong in this world, but at the same time, you face opposition with the people around you. Now, Rebecca's story hit really close to my heart and brought back many unpleasant memories from my childhood. Like Rebecca, I once was a victim of cyberbullying, and like Rebecca, the attack came from some of my closest friends. Now, I had just returned back from Japan after living a year in California, and I was excited to get back with my friends and to return to my old life, but little did I know the life that I had in Japan will never be the same again. When I returned home one day, my mom comes into my room. She tells me not to check my email because a group of my friends had sent an unkind email, but despite her warning, I opened it anyways. I find that 4 of my closest friends had sent this email, and the email went somewhere along the lines of, "Ever since you came to school, you have made our lives miserable." Now, of course, I felt pain. Of course, I was destroyed inside, but I was more confused than anything because I've been friends with them since I was 5 years old, and I was never suspicious of anything, so I felt like this email just came out of nowhere. And all I could think was how I dreaded going to school the next day, how I didn't want to see their face, or talk to them, but I ended up not talking to them for a week. And eventually I found out that 2 of the friends that were on the email never even knew the email existed. They weren't involved in it. But the other 2 that were, I don't talk to them anymore, but after receiving the email, I decided to make new friends. And if it were not for the email, I wouldn't have the lifelong friends that I have today. Now, like most victims of bullying, bullying is not just a one-time thing. I can recall yet another incident in which I was bullied, but this time the attack was to my ethnicity. This was when I was in California. I was only 10 years old. And keep in mind, this was my first time ever living in the United States. So I was walking on the playground of my elementary school when a teacher stops me. She asked me to call this blonde girl over so she can talk with her. So I approached the blonde girl from behind. I don't know her name, I've never talked to her before, but I approached her. And to get her attention, I just tapped her shoulder and I said, "Excuse me." And before I could say anything else, the blonde girl turns around and she looks at me in the eye and she has this disgusted look on her face. She then says, "Ew, don't touch me. I never want to touch another Chinese girl again." Now, as I heard these words come out of her mouth, my 10-year-old body froze. I didn't know what to do, what to say, what to think, but all I could feel was all this emotion flowing inside me, all I can think to myself was, I'm a monster. I was confused at how my ethnicity can cause someone so much pain and hatred. And so the emotions started to flow in me. I became really overwhelmed, and I started to cry. And the teacher saw me crying, and so she sent us both to the principal's office. And there the principal interrogated us, asking questions like, what did you do wrong? What could you have done better to avoid the situation? But the conflict ended with an exchange of apologies from both sides. Now, I often ask myself, why me? When I was little, I looked around and I saw my friends, and they never got teased, they never got bullied, and it was always me. And this always made me feel like I didn't belong anywhere, like I was an outcast, that I wasn't normal. But as I've grown up, I've realized that what makes me different and what makes me such an easy target for bullies is my diversity. Now, here's a little, quick summary of my background. I was born in China, and I lived in an orphanage till I was 5 years old. And at the age of 5, I got adopted to an amazing parent, two parents, a Japanese mom and American dad, and I moved to Japan after my adoption, and I became an American citizen. And I lived in Japan for 3 years, moved to California for 1, moved back in Japan for another 5 years, and finally I moved here to Maui. But I feel like what makes me different is more than just my cultural diversity, but it's also my beliefs, values, and experiences. Before I moved to California, I always thought that being Asian was normal because everyone around me was Asian. But when I moved to California, I realized just how diverse the world was, and I realized that I played my own part in the world's colorful masterpiece. Now, I'd like to add on to what my fellow speaker David said about discrimination, in that we should take the initiative to stop judging others and to accept them for who they are. But what if you were the victim of discrimination or bullying? Well, you have just as much power, or even more so, to stop discrimination. Now, although Rebecca's persistent struggle with bullying ended with her suicide, I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to move on and to grow stronger from my experiences. I was able to see the positive side in bullying. Now, I know this may sound weird, but hear me out. Most people don't see the positive side in bullying because the negative side often triumphs it, especially if the bullying is severe. But what most of you guys don't realize is that with being bullied, comes a rich opportunity to grow and to become stronger and to strengthen your individuality. Although I felt like trash when I read the email or when the girl attacked my ethnicity, these experiences have helped teach me how to move on and to be proud of the person that I am today. Even to this day, I get slightly picked on by my friends for my weird upbringings. Like, I called hooded sweaters jumpers, and I say, hi, bye-bye, at the end of my phone conversations with my mom. But I can't help but laugh with my friends because I know that these are qualities that make me different and unique. Just because someone bullies you for being different doesn't mean you have to change yourself to get approval. I learned that the only person I have to worry about is me and be who I truly am and not what everyone else wants me to be. With diversity comes the fear of the unknown. And as humans, it's natural for us to feel threatened when we face things that are outside our comfort zone. People will tell you what to do, what to wear, how to think, but it's your choice whether you want to maintain your individuality or change in order to please others. But remember this quote by the Japanese author Haruki Murakami. The fact that I'm me and no one else, it's one of my greatest assets. Emotional hurt is a price a person has to pay in order to be independent. So my message to all those out there who have been bullied or are being bullied is to stay strong. Sure, you'll feel pain, and sure, you'll feel hate, and you'll feel hurt. But I encourage you to focus on letting the bullying empower you and the fact that you are weird, unique, different, independent, and embrace it. Don't have someone else live your life for you. This is your life, and you have to take control of it. Diversity is what is the future of our race. It is what will drive our race forward. And we are stimulators of change, and we are the sculptors of the future. We can influence the future, and we have the power to create a future that we want. So let's not create a world that's full of mimicry, where it's dull, everything looks the same, and it's just boring. But let's create a world that's vibrant, progressive, and most importantly, inspirational. Thank you.